This video is for those who have started running, who are thinking about starting running, or have started running and have quit and can't seem to keep up running, can't seem to continue. Let us start with motivation. I will start with motivation because I have noticed that a lot of people who take on running, they go for a few runs, and then after a month or two, when I ask them because they have stopped talking about running, they have stopped running. And the common reasons seem to be simply lack of motivation, lack of vision for why they are running in the first place, and also the fact that running seems to suck for them. And I would like to add right now that running sucks for me as well. For these 5 years, running has always sucked for me, and it continues to suck for me. But how do you stay motivated? How do you continue? If you have started running or tried running, and now you feel like you're not getting anywhere, you're not recovering, your body hurts, or whatever it may be, I would recommend everyone who struggles with motivation to listen to the story of David Goggins. I want you to listen to David Goggins because I want you to understand what humans are capable of. This is important because you, dear listener, are actually more capable than you think you are. You are probably not as capable when it comes to running and mental fortitude as David Goggins is, but that's not the point. The point when you look at someone extreme like David, the point is not that you want to become the same person. The point is that you understand that humanity's limits are far greater than we tend to think. So the point of looking at someone like David Goggins is to get inspired by the possibilities of humans. Now, when it comes to setting goals, which I will also get on later in more detail, that is when you look at yourself. But first, when you set out to test yourself and you come up with the goals and you see what you are made of, I think it is very useful to listen to stories such as David Goggins. Another good one is someone called the Iron Cowboy. He is also just a crazy, phenomenal ultra athlete. And another person I would like you to take a look at is Mitchell Hooper. The reason why I want you to look at Mitchell Hooper is that he is one of the strongest men on earth right now at this moment. He's winning competitions, and he used to run marathons. So you can be such an enormous, big, muscular, strong person that you're literally the strongest man on earth. Yet you can also run marathons. Not at the same time, obviously. Now he's not looking to run marathons anymore, but the point is, even if you have the skeleton, you have the body of somebody who can become world-class strongman, you can still run. So truly, the excuses for not running, you will find out when you look at these people that there are not too many excuses. Obviously, if you are not healthy, if you have some health issues, then you may have real reasons not to run. But in any case, for motivation, look at these three individuals and understand what humans are capable of, because that means that you are capable of something between the current you and, let's say, David Goggins. You land somewhere in between. You could run a marathon, for example, in just a few years, and you just don't know it yet. It sounds extreme, it sounds hard, it sounds like a lot, but it might not be a lot for you a few years from now if you just keep running once a week. All right, so the next point I want to make is that you should pick a nice number for distance. Pick something that sounds cool. Don't aim too low. You should never aim too low. This is applicable to everything and anything in life. Never aim too low in life, always aim high, because then when you fail aiming at something high, you still land somewhere between the lowest and the highest, instead of you aiming at too low and then you reaching that low goal. So that is why I would say that you should aim at a number that sounds cool to you. Don't think about running 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers. Unless you're overweight, then it might be that you just can't run more than that. But if you have ever gone to the gym, if you're normal weight, whatever it may be, you're healthy, you're not overweight, then pick something like I did. I picked 5 kilometers and it was the first run that I ran. And I was able to finish the 5K. Way slower than nowadays, obviously, but I was able to finish it. And so I started to run 5K every week. Another point related to motivation and how to get started and stay on the path of running is that I think running for health might not be something that keeps you going for a long time. Because if we were so motivated by health, then I think we would be doing way more healthy things more easily. I don't think I've ever done anything in my life because it's healthy, to be honest. I've always done it because it's cool. I've always done it to shape myself and my identity and myself as a person and my character. So when it comes to running, don't think too much about science, don't think too much about health. Think about how cool it will be to be able to run longer distances. Think about becoming a badass. Think about becoming an athlete. Start creating a character. Start creating an identity and aim for that, because that way eventually you will get to a place where you cannot skip your weekly run. It will become a habit, but not only a habit, it will become a part of your identity. It will become a part of who you are, and then you actually won't be able to skip running once a week. It's gonna be that way around. It's not about you trying to force yourself to go run. No, it's about you forcing yourself not to run. All right, so now it is time to get into the physical hurdles. One of the most common issues that beginner runners face is getting blisters in the feet. And I have a really easy solution for this one. Get yourself a pair of high quality running socks. I think these are also called compression socks or something like that. And the good ones, they cost some money, but don't be afraid of that. They will last you for a long time as long as you cut your nails, your toenails. So it's a great investment. And I mean, you should buy the good ones, not the bad ones. The bad compression running socks, they don't make that big of a difference, but the good ones, you will never have splinters ever again. As long as you have decent shoes, which obviously also if you have the money to buy decent shoes, then please do buy decent shoes. Another thing to prevent physical issues, injuries, is to not run too much when you start. Running once a week is a good idea. I personally got shin splints when I started running, and the only way for me to avoid shin splints was to keep running consistently, but not too often and not too much. I did talk to a physiotherapist about it, and she said I should maybe consider running something like 1.5 kilometers every other day, something like that. But that sounded too lame to me, which, like I mentioned previously, for me, running is about becoming cool. It's about becoming an athlete. It's about becoming badass. It was always about becoming more capable. So for me, running only 1.5 kilometers or something, it just sounded lame. So I didn't do that. So I kept doing the 5K every week. And it worked, but I had to run, I think, 2 years at least, if not 3 years, once a week only, before I was comfortable to run more than once a week. And I noticed that I don't get the shin splints anymore. for a long time, for at least the first year, maybe even the second year, if I remember correctly, if I ran more than once a year, I got shin splints. So this could be a really long game for you. Maybe not if you're smarter than me. If you do the 1.5 kilometers every second day, every 2 days, maybe that's going to be better. But it could be that you might have to run for a long time. And I am not a doctor. I am not a physiotherapist. I am not a professional. This is bro science. This is anecdotal. So take this with a bucket load of salt, I guess. But I would say if you feel pain, it's not pain that makes you scream. It's not pain that feels chronic. So let's say you have pain in your ankle, you have pain in your hip, you have pain in your knee when you are running. Maybe not the first time, but the second time, the third time, whatever it may be. When you come back home, if that pain isn't there when you're relaxing, if that pain isn't there in a few days, then I think you should definitely not give up running just because it hurts while you are running. But once again, this is not medical advice, so please consult some kind of a doctor if you, and especially like I said, if it's pain that is really painful, that makes you like scream, then definitely don't run. But if it's just uncomfortable pain, once again, I will give some examples of what I went through. I had ankle pain. So much so that the next day I couldn't walk properly because my ankle was hurting. Well, guess what? Next week when I went running, I had no issues. I've had hip pain. I've had knee pain. I've had some kind of upper glute muscle pain. I've had many kinds of pain. And I've always nevertheless decided to go run every single week. And it's just so happened that the pain has gone away. So my anecdotal bro science advice is that do keep running every week, once a week, maybe just run shorter distances or something. But in any case, don't be too afraid of pain. Remember David Goggins. If you read his story, listen to his story, go get the audiobook. The first audiobook is really interesting. At least to me, it was fascinating. That guy does some things that no one should do, but he proves that humans can actually get through really bad injury and pain and become injury and pain free. So you can run through the pain, so to speak. Not necessarily smart, but you can. So sometimes you should try, maybe, but please don't take my advice as medical advice. It's not that. All right, so long-term goals is what I want to talk about next. Once you have turned running into a weekly habit, you've been running the 5K, for example, for a long time now. You feel like you're comfortable with running enough that you try running 6 kilometers, you run 8 kilometers. Now maybe you will decide to run a 10K. This is something I did. Once again, using myself as an example, I thought I'm going to only run 10K and never anything more than that. Until I listened to a podcast where a huge, big, massive guy, not fat, but just huge bones, strong as a bull, he was running some crazy distances, like marathon level distances. And I heard that and I decided I'm so small as a guy that I should start running longer distances. And then I ran 15 kilometers the next day. And then 2 weeks after that, I ran my first half marathon. For long-term goals, once again, get inspired by great athletes. Get inspired by people who do crazy feats of endurance. Understand that your limits, you have no idea about your limits. So pick something like half marathon. Half marathon is easy, believe me. As long as you can start running more than once a week without injury, then half marathon will become an easy target. And when you run a half, you understand that you can actually run the full marathon as well, eventually. For me, it took 4 years to run that. But for you, it might only take 1 year, or maybe it's going to take 10 years. I don't know, and it doesn't matter, and you don't have to run that long, big goal. You never have to. You can always just keep running 5K every week and never increase the distance. Who cares? You do you. Just if you want to keep going, which is the point of this video, how to not stop running as a beginner who has just started running. Make yourself some bigger goals and aim for those. But take it year by year. Don't try to be too fast. Don't give a crap. Like, I would actually advise people to keep running only the 5K for at least 1 year every week and no more than that. You don't have to improve. Don't check the time. Don't give a crap about the time. Only the distance. And just, you're not in a hurry to become better at this. You know, training, you know, running is truly a marathon, right? Many people say this about other things, like, oh, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Running is truly exactly that. So take your time. It doesn't matter if it takes you 10 years to get to the next level, to the 10K, to the 20K, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just keep running, keep grinding. And I would like, lastly, to talk a little bit more about the identity shift. So basically, I think the easiest way for me to describe this is to talk about myself once again as an example. I thought I will never run more than a 10K because I was always into powerlifting and I didn't care about cardio. I started running when I realized that I have small bones. I'm not built for strongman stuff. I'm not built for powerlifting. I will never be an elite powerlifter or bodybuilder or anything like that. So I decided I'm going to take advantage of my quote unquote small body and I'm going to become a hybrid athlete. I'm going to do strength training and running, but I'm going to keep the running quite short because I'm going to still emphasize the strength. Well, it just so happened that, like I said, I heard the podcast episode with the huge dude who was running long distances and I realized I'm making excuses. And that's when I understood that it's actually cool to be that guy who really tries his own limits and really becomes the best version of himself. And that's what I did. You know, even now training for the marathon, which I have soon in a couple of days, I had a heavy powerlifting session just a few days ago. So 1 week before the marathon, I had a heavy powerlifting session because I still want to be strong, but I want to be able to do a marathon. So the identity for me is that I am an athlete. I am a strong motherfucker and I'm going to become even stronger and I'm going to be, you know, I am the fittest man in my social circles, period. Strength and endurance wise, some people are better in the strength department, but then they're not as good in the endurance. Then there's someone who is a faster runner than me, but once again, I'm stronger than him and I can run longer. So it all boils down to me being the baddest motherfucker in my own social circles. And I'm not the best in the world and I will never be the best in the world, but I will always continue to be inspired by the best in the world. I will never get tired of listening to David Goggins, the Iron Cowboy, looking at the strongest man. I love looking at the strongest man stuff. And I will always be inspired by the top elite athletes of this world. And I will land somewhere between my worst version, which I was before I started training, and those elite top athletes. I will land somewhere between them. And that's amazing because it makes me push my limits. If I only compare myself to myself, I would not push my limits because I would not try to get anywhere close to those epic elite athletes. I would not know what humans are truly capable of, so I would not even try. But now I know what humans are capable of, so I know that I am just full of shit with my excuses if I don't try to be even a little bit better than I was last year. So year by year, until I find my own spot where it is easy enough for me to live a normal life, which this channel is about. This channel is about self-improvement, but for normal people, So you live your normal life, you meet your friends, you hang out with your girlfriend, you drink some beer because beer is amazing. You do this, you do that, but at the same time you improve year by year and you become capable of more and more. And that is it, everyone. Thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of this. Please comment below if you got some value out of this, if you liked the video. If there was something you didn't like, let me know. Hit that like button and the subscribe button because those help me grow the channel, and obviously that gives me motivation to keep going. Although, once again, this YouTube journey for me is like the running for me, that I'm gonna keep going year by year, little by little, and I am gonna get inspired by the biggest YouTubers, and I will land somewhere between 0 subscribers and 100 million subscribers. We will see where I get, but I will sure as hell keep grinding, just like I will keep grinding with the running. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time and have a blessed day. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.